SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.
I'm Steve Azar, and I'm on the other side of the microphone, meaning I'm asking the questions this time, and oh, have mercy for the airwaves. I spent 20 years in Music City, wrote and made some hits, traveled the world, and then moved my family back to the birthplace of American music and where the magnolia trees prosper. And now every time I put my feet on Mississippi soil, when I'm off the road, well, I'm at peace. On this show, it's all about hearing the stories straight from the mouths of the friends I've made along the way, their journey to success. Heck, there might be someone on, I don't even know, but you know how us Mississippi types are. We tend to take well to new company. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them. I'm Steve Azar.
It's just like that muddy river, moving slow. Ain't no worries, it's how life goes, baby. In a Mississippi Minute.
Hey folks, time for another In a Mississippi Minute. Visit Mississippi.org. We are the birthplace of America's music. Should I say that again before I say Merry Christmas? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to all you folks out there that have been listening. Grateful for you for the past 8 years. Come January, we're in year number 9. I love my team at SuperTalk. Always learning to listen. So thank you guys so much. Go to visit Mississippi.org. Okay, my guest today appears twice. This is part 2 because I coerced him, twisted his arm all the way from the Mississippi Delta to Oxford, Mississippi through email. He wears many hats. He serves as a clerk of the court for the U.S. District Court, the Northern District of Mississippi, a former United States Marshal who spent 12 years with the United States Justice Department before joining the court. He's also a fantastic author, award-winning filmmaker, and philanthropist. On top of his career working with the Mississippi government, he produced several documentaries. I mean, they're incredible films, including The Toughest Job, William Winters, Mississippi, which won a regional Emmy for Best Historical Documentary. This man's a history buff. Another one of his films, Unrivaled, Sewanee, 1899, aired on PBS nationwide and was nominated for an Emmy. He co-produced a film on Pulitzer Prize-winning author Eudora Welty, our very own, which aired on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. He recently completed a film titled Force of Nature, the Bob Dunlap story, which chronicles the life of a legendary Mississippi conservationist, philanthropist, and businessman. He serves as the producer for the 8-part series Tallahatchie, which I was blessed to be in, I think the last part, which airs on MPB in 2026. His current project is a film on the iconic whiskey speech written by Judge Soggy Sweat. I get to automatically be in that because my dad opened the first legal liquor store in Mississippi. By default, I'm in. His book, The Mississippi Book of Quotations, I've got it on my desk right now, is in its 3rd printing. He's an avid mountain climber, and he has submitted some of the world's largest mountains because he's from Mississippi, and that's what we do. We attack mountains. Anyway, in the early 1980s, he hiked the entire Natchez Trace for National Geographic Book Division. He is believed to be the first person to hike the entire trace since the early 1800s, which was kind of a long time ago. And last but not least, so good, among other philanthropic initiatives, he helped raise $2 million to construct the Mississippi Children's Cancer Clinic at the University Medical Center in Jackson, Mississippi, where my son graduated med school and now is doing his prelim. Welcome, filmmaker, award-winning filmmaker, author, philanthropist, and county clerk, former Marshal, U.S. Marshal David Cruz. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Steve. Hey, we're this is round 2 of our welterweight fight here.
I can't believe you and I didn't grow up together, is what I want to know. Come on.
No, we should have. We'll
catch up. You know, when we get to be our age, which is in our youthful adulthood, is like a youthful elderly age. Is there a such thing? I always feel like you can catch up on not growing up together if you bond and it happens because there's no filters and you're vulnerable to these great relationships that maybe you should have had a long time ago. And I feel like you and me are making one right in front of everybody that's listening, right?
I concur wholeheartedly.
See, you can
And
even
man,
get tongue tied. I like it.
and man, I really, when we were at the Magnolia Theater for the Tallahatchie project, the Magnolia Theater there in New Albany, man, for your concert, that was just fantastic. Thanks for doing that. Man,
Oh man.
Clark Ritchie's doing a fantastic job directing that 8-part series on MPB. It's going to be fantastic, and man, you're a key, core, pivotal part of it.
Well, I'm always honored, first of all. Second of all, I was hoarse as all get out. My voice isn't built anymore, especially after having throat surgery in 2005, doing 4 shows in a row. And I was on number 3 that night. I always sort of need a day on, day off. And I didn't get that. So I was half throttle, but, I wasn't going to miss it. The good thing is we were faking One Mississippi, so like a music video. So I'm going to sound like I'm supposed to sound. But no, grateful for Clark and all he's doing. You think about these projects that you guys do to celebrate the history of our Mississippi that a lot of folks just aren't privy to because it's not any books they're reading in school. It's just not out in front of them. How much, and you're a huge documentary maker and a huge filmmaker that loves the history of Mississippi and loves sharing that with the rest of the world. How much of that why is that so important to you, spreading the gospel of Mississippi?
Yeah, great question. It strikes me that we're all trying to make a strong strong connections in life, and I'm always on the hunt for opportunities to connect and explore. And one of the ways I do that is with filmmaking and focusing on a specific individual or specific incident and bringing it to life. And it's a way, filmmaking is a way to make connections and to open up really impressive things that have happened in life, and individuals like Eudora Welty. I'm doing one right now on Robert Kyatt, who was such a team player when he played at Ole Miss. And then for the Washington Redskins, and then as chancellor, he built this incredible team, top-notch team of administrators and academicians that allowed him to establish the Barksdale Honors College, Phi Beta, bring Phi Beta Kappa to Ole Miss, and so much more. It's always struck me that teamwork is essential to the things we accomplish in life. Mm-hmm. When I produce and direct a film, I never do it alone. I put together a talented team of camera operators, film editors, lighting experts, and other skillful folks. You do the same thing with your band and in your
Sure.
performances. You've got a team of fellow guitarists and drummers and sound and lighting experts. It's always struck me that teamwork is so essential to anything that we accomplish in life. I couldn't accomplish anything in life without my number one teammate, my bride, Claire Shellmeyer Cruz. So
you're making up for it yesterday because I know what you said. I love it. Hey, I told my wife, I said, I met my match now. Sometimes we have to just pretend and kid. Thank goodness our wives have a great humorous sense about them and knows when we're messing around. No, I love it. I love that too. And I've got the same situation in on hand as well, David. I mean, my wife is stuck with me through the wildest times there are. Being a songwriter, I was probably and an artist. I was chomping at the bits, a lot of nervous energy, and having to go from playing all the time to trying to make it last forever, which you had to have hits. And her enduring all of that process and me being on an emotional roller coaster really amazes me. She was able to put up with that because I could get very high and very low. And until I realized and learned how to live in the middle, where actually, to be honest with you, I feel like you can be most creative because I think your mind's all there. Anyway, she put up with that. And, over the holidays, especially, I give her a few extra kisses, which she probably doesn't want. But I'm still, anyway. She goes, "Oh my God, you're such a romantic. When are you going to be unromantic?" Is what she wants to know. I said, "Not going to happen. It's your fault. It's your fault." All right. So, David, we got about 30 seconds before we have to take a break. We haven't talked about anything. This is a Seinfeld show. I want to talk about you mountain climbing in the next segment. My buddy Mark Pattison, NFL player, won an Emmy for him climbing all 7 summits. He saw death along the way when he finished Everest. He's still climbing mountains. You're a whole lot like him. Something's wrong with both of you guys, but he grew up in Seattle where there was actually Mount Rainier staring at him all the time. And you grew up in the hills of Mississippi where there was nothing but hills. And apparently you had big dreams about climbing something a little higher than my levee down here, protecting the Mississippi River. We'll be right back with David Cruz, award-winning filmmaker. His book, The Mississippi Book of Quotations, is fantastic in his third printing on Nautilus Publishing, right? My pal Neil White,
Right.
my publisher. Visit Mississippi.org, celebrates all sorts of documentary filmmakers like my pal David Cruz. We'll be right back. Former U.S. Marshal. I'm feeling like I need to do something wrong so he can get me out of trouble. We'll be right back.
You just looking for a little more or less. Come on back to Memphis. Come on back to Memphis. Come on back to Memphis. Come on back to Memphis.
Mississippi.
When you've done all you need to do, and you've had more trouble than you can use, and you've painted every road that you can find.
Rolling into a Mississippi Minute, visit Mississippi.org, celebrate a road trip. I'm telling you, you'll be so proud of your Mississippi. We're in Oxford, Mississippi today, where award-winning documentary filmmaker David Cruz is with me, former U.S. Marshal, climbed all sorts of mountains, the author of the Book of Quotations on Nautilus Publishing, David Cruz. All right, David, let's talk about the insanity of what's this mountain climbing thing?
Yeah, well, I think it's an indication of strong legs and a weak mind. That's kind of what it boils down to. You know, I've just been mesmerized by beautiful views, and I love the intensity and the challenge of mountain climbing, and to get to some of the really high peaks like Aconcagua down in South America, which is one of the 7 summits at 23,000 feet. You know, you won't find a more gorgeous view. And it takes, you know, we were talking about teamwork earlier. It takes teamwork to get to the top of a mountain. You know, when you're on a glaciated peak and on a really steep pitch, you're tied to your mountain climbing buddies. And because if one guy falls, the others can arrest his fall. But in going up Aconcagua, the final pitch to the top is on a razor's edge ridge. And on one side of you is a 10,000 foot sheer cliff. You might bounce, if you fell, you might bounce once before you hit the bottom of the valley 10,000 feet later. And when you get to that razor's edge, you untether. You're no longer roped together because
No. I don't want to hear about this. What are you talking about?
Everybody with him. So, I guess it boils down to, I like a good view and I like a good challenge, and mountain climbing is a great challenge. That's why I did the Ironman triathlon in Hawaii. You know, that's why I hiked the Natchez Trace, because I love a good challenge and seeing if I can accomplish it. And generally, I've been fortunate. But the mountain climbing is tough, and you got to know what you're doing, or you're going to get yourself into trouble. On Aconcagua, 2 guys died on that climb. Not in my
That's what
part,
I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying.
But in others, and your friend has experienced that.
So wait a minute. Wait. So you mentioned more physical than mental, and you and I both know it's probably more mental at some point than physical when you get toward the top, and you're also seeing death, or you know that people are not making it, and you're being tested way beyond any physical nothing's been like this, right? Is the way Mark explained, who played in the NFL for a bunch of years, and he's trying to explain the difference. And he said there was no comparison. So mentally, you're tough as nails. When you talk about your team, and you've talked about teamwork so far in the show that I love, throughout your career, I love that. I'm a believer in teamwork. What's the prerequisite for choosing this team that's actually climbing when you get there?
Well, you got to have guys that are committed, who are willing to dig through the painful moments and get to somebody. And as you say, they have to be mentally prepared as well as physically prepared, and have an ethic that, hey, I want to make it to the summit, but I want to do it safely. And talk about the mental aspect of it. Several of the guys, and I thought it was very smart, as we got towards the summit, they were afraid that they just didn't have the stamina and the wind to do it, and they turned back, which was smart. I'm not that smart, so I kept going. And I guess my philosophy was, man, I've come all this way. I've spent all this money. I'm going to make it to the summit. But I had to make that conscious decision, just mentally make a conscious decision. I wasn't going to let the pain, which I was in a lot of pain. You'd have to take you'd have to take 2 breaths for every step that you take. But I just mentally prepared myself, and I'm kind of relentless. And I just said, I'm going to make it to the summit no matter what. Fortunately, I did.
What was that feeling like? I mean, Rocky at the top, up the, Philadelphia, we are growing up, me and you with Rocky making it to the top, but that was the top of a bunch of stairs, at the end of running. So what was that feeling like?
Oh, it was a wonderful feeling, but I was so tired I couldn't celebrate for too long. I was up on the summit for about a half an hour, absorbed the unbelievable view over the Andes. You can see Chile on one side of you. You can see the Pacific Ocean. You can see Argentina on the other side of you. Aconcagua is actually in Argentina, but right on the border with Chile. And so that view is incredible, but the camaraderie is incredible as well. You're up there at the summit. You get to celebrate with your buddies, and then, climbing down, and you get back to a reasonable elevation, and you can celebrate. And maybe someone might have brought a small bottle of whiskey along. I can't remember for moral certainty, but I think I seem to recollect that happened. And so we celebrated when we got back down. One of the treacherous things about climbing high peaks like that, and I'm sure your buddy knows this, is the incredible winds. You're up on a high peak. You might be in 30 below zero weather. It's glaciated. You're on snow and ice, and you'll have 70-mile-an-hour winds. That's a hurricane force winds, and so the wind chill factor is just incredible. And you got to be careful that that the wind doesn't blow you and your tent off the mountain. So
I was going to ask you about the
layers
wind.
So many layers of things you got to contend with.
I'm looking at this book. First of all, you're still nuts. Now you're even more nuts than I thought, but I love it. It's a good nuts. You can be, there's a good and a bad nuts. I'm looking at the cover of your book that I just love it. It says updated and expanded 100 plus new quotations. So y'all were able to add to your book constantly with new quotes. I got one for you. First of all, back up for a second. The cover's gorgeous.
Yes,
I love the simplicity, but I love the copper color. And just you got the football seams, right? It looks like you got a guitar and you got a leaf, and they're all in copper. But I just think it's a gorgeous cover. I mean, like this, it's like the Beatles' White record, what was it? All white.
The White Album.
The White Album. I was thinking about the White Animals. Anyway, amazing. Morgan Freeman, he was at my charity event one year, and he was we were on the putting green about to go play, and they were interviewing both of us, and they looked at Morgan and they say, "Hey, Morgan, why art?" Because our foundation really focuses hard on the arts. And he just got quiet with his dramatic pause and waited, his bated breath, right? And said, "No art, no life." And it was 100 degrees in June in the Mississippi Delta, and I swear everybody got cold. It was one of those moments, And so anyway, I'll never forget that. I said, "Let's get the T-shirt, let's print it up." Another person for our first show that we did for Viking Cruise Line for my Steve Azar's Mississippi show, we got through playing, and we get a quote back from one of the guys in Switzerland, who's one of the head guys that helped us create the show, Yost, who's a good friend of ours now, who is an amazing guy. Anyway, he said, "Look at this. This says it all. What did you guys just do?" And it said, to think that we had to go all the way to, that I had to go all the way to Greenville, Mississippi to rediscover America. And I was like, whoa, baby. That's like, so I remember the good ones. I've had plenty of bad ones, but I don't like, they're not even a thought. I'm like the shooter that keeps shooting, and I only remember the ones I've made. So I've learned to let go of the bad ones. But, I think about great quotes in our life, and they're a part of the locker room. They're a part of, we say quotes in movies, me and my friends, from the greatest quotes in movies, and we'll go, what movie, and these things that have stuck with us our whole lives. And it's just so cool that you've written an entire book about it, and it's all about Mississippi quotes. So you folks can get that anywhere they buy books. It's on Nautilus Publishing. It's a Mississippi publishing company that does big things with Neil White. We're going to be right back. Award-winning filmmaker David Cruz, former U.S. Marshal for a dozen years, climbed one of the biggest mountains, one of the 7 summits in the world, author of the Mississippi Book of Quotations, a great Christmas gift. Check it out. Visit Mississippi.org. Celebrates folks like David, keeping the tradition alive and the culture of Mississippi.
If you need somewhere to rest, or you just looking for a little more or less, come on back to Memphis. Come on back to Memphis. Come on back to Memphis. Come on back to Memphis.
Up to $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
You can now watch SuperTalk Mississippi on your YouTube, Roku, and on Amazon Fire devices. Plus, you can now watch SuperTalk TV live on C Spire TV Channel 70. Just go to supertalk.fm/connect to find out more.
From the Seabrook.
Check one. Where's all my volume?
In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Rolling into a Mississippi Minute. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays from visitmississippi.org. Check it out. Celebrate Mississippi. We are up in the beautiful hills of Oxford, Mississippi, with one heck of a filmmaker, award-winning, Emmy-nominated filmmaker for documentaries, especially focusing in on our Mississippi, David Cruz, also mountain climber. And when you say mountain climber, the real deal, he climbed one of the 7 summits. And as we just talked about, and he's one heck of a guy.
Hey, Steve, I want you to know I've also climbed Woodall Mountain, which is the highest peak in Mississippi. Just
Where's
a little
that?
bit over 800 feet in elevation.
You'd be proud of me during the documentary for MDOT that I did for the second crossing with the new bridge down here. I climbed 432 feet above the Mississippi on a catwalk and did my interview from up there. And you climbed 23,000 feet. So I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you brought up Mississippi, I climbed half as high as you did.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
I got to tell you something you mentioned earlier about quotations and locker rooms, and we've all gotten great lines out of that. I have to tell you a great line. My high school football coach at Oxford High School, one time we were having a scrimmage, and he paused for a minute and said, you boys pair off in threes. And I said, okay, coach, yeah, pair off in threes. I thought that was two, but we can do that. We can pair off in threes.
Hey, I was in the locker room at a basketball game at St. Al. I'm not going to tell you who the coach was. I'm not going to tell you who the player was, but he was a big offensive lineman that went off to play college football, and he forgot his shoes. And coach goes, I bet you didn't forget your cheeseburgers. I bet you didn't forget your meal. Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, what? Just the way he said it, I'm like, where did that come from? You forget your shoes, but I bet you didn't forget those cheeseburgers. Anyway, I loved it so much. The whole locker room was like laughing its tail off. All right, so I want to talk about a little bit of U.S. Marshal stories.
Yeah.
Give me some, we have bus talk and we got road stories that are wild, but being a U.S. Marshal for 12 years, you pretty much seen it all?
Well, I've seen a lot. I'll tell you one great story. I've got a lot of great stories from those days. But one of my fellow marshals, a guy named Eddie Rambo with the great name Rambo. That's his last name. And Eddie was a great guy. He and I got a phone call one night from a fugitive task force out in Texas and said, hey, Marshal, we've got, one of our informants just alerted us that he'd gotten a phone call, and we traced the phone call back to Corinth, Mississippi. Now, the guy that the fugitive that we were looking for was a double murderer. He'd murdered two people out in Texas. He was on the Texas 10 Most Wanted list. And so Eddie and I and a couple of other of the deputies, marshals, we tracked this guy from Corinth, Mississippi, up into Tennessee, over into Alabama, and then back into Mississippi. We caught up with him early one morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning, at Ripley, Mississippi, in a restaurant. Ripley,
good basketball in Ripley, by the way. Keep going.
And yep, indeed. And so, anytime we go into this restaurant, we see our guy. This is a big guy, about 6'5", blonde hair, red beard, dangerous guy. And so anytime you make an arrest, your whole goal is to keep the public safe first and foremost, keep yourself safe, and if at all possible, keep the bad guy safe. So we waited, some people cleared out. We were in hunting clothes, and we got a cup of coffee, sat in the booth behind him. Enough people had cleared out that we thought we could safely arrest him. So we draw down on him and said, put a gun in his ear and said, U.S. Marshals, you keep your hands where we can see them, and everybody else in here, keep your seats. And so we got a gun out of his boot, got him handcuffed. My whole goal in life is now to get him back to our federal lockup in Oxford, Mississippi, and keep everybody safe. And as we're leaving out, this little old lady, must have been 80 years old, starts making a beeline for me, and she goes, sir, her voice kind of quaking, and I'm afraid, she's going to criticize me for interrupting their breakfast and arresting this nice young man. Finally, she catches up with me and says, sir, I just want you to know that was the most dramatic breakfast I've ever eaten. She goes, that was better than TV.
Wow, I love it. You got me. I was actually thinking I was listening to a podcast. I wanted to close my eyes because I like stuff like that. So you guys, that should have been one of your quotations here, one of your great quotes.
No, hey, you'll dig in there, you'll find it.
It's in there. Okay,
that quote that was the most dramatic breakfast I've ever eaten. I'd never thought of breakfast as dramatic before.
Well, it wasn't until what you guys just did. I love it. So you love this thrill of the hunt, and that's amazing to me. Growing up, what were you sort of into, like that got you to go that direction? Anything sort of significant?
I can't think of anything that really led me in that direction. I've just stumbled my way through life, Steve. Let's just be honest.
What else are you? What's new? What do we do?
I get lucky and I get focused on things and figure them out, and I've just gotten lucky.
Shelby Foote, Indianola.
Yeah,
we got a story. I want to hear about that because obviously
I got several Shelby stories, but let me tell one of them. So I'm living. I'm right out of college. I'm living in Greenwood, Mississippi. I'm writing. I'm a feature writer for the Greenwood Commonwealth, the newspaper there. And so I heard that Shelby Foote, and this is back Shelby Foote long before the Civil War Ken Burns series. I hear that he's going to be speaking at the Indianola Public Library. So I go to my editor and said, "Sir, can I go to Indianola and cover Shelby Foote?" And he says, "Well, heck yeah, you can, but I'm not going to pay you. That's not in our circulation area." And I said, "That's fine. I want to go listen to Mr. Foote." So I go I go there. Great. He gives a great talk. And at the end, he asks for questions. And this young man stands up and says, "Mr. Foote, what advice do you give to aspiring young writers?" And Foote says, great answer, unbelievable answer. He says, he thought for a minute and said, "I always discourage them because those who are destined to be writers won't listen to me. And those who aren't destined to be writers might listen to me."
Oh my goodness, that's incredible.
Isn't that a great line?
That is so
always
good.
Discourage them.
Wow. I got discouraged along the way. Maybe I'm not so disappointed in those people anymore. I just decided I was going to prove them wrong. But I never thought about that. I was thinking the other day about, I've got this song called The Coach that I love. And it's, I thought that I knew everything growing up. As you grow a little older, you realize what they were trying to do. And although they were wrong sometimes, we were wrong a lot of times. And in that situation, so I use those for motivation rather than I think about the people that were so positive and pushing me so forward, but yet these people that you seem that they were so negative in your life were actually giving you the ability to it's an equal motivation. There's equal motivation in people that push you in the wrong way and try to keep you down. And so anyway, I look back at those people and I'm grateful for them along the way. Anyway, so all right, so you just cracked me up. Now I know what it takes to become a U.S. Marshal. The road to it is becoming a newspaper writer. No, that makes no sense. So you are absolutely stumbling through life, but stumbling, by the way, in a very, very productive way, if you don't mind me saying. Very productive, your career. All right, so what about this Hawaiian triathlon? So you don't only like to climb mountains, you like to put yourself through hell being an Ironman. Is that right?
That's right. Well, yeah, another sign of strong legs and a weak mind.
All right, wait, we got to take a quick break. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about all the pain and suffering you went through during the break, and we're going to come right back on the other side because they're going to cut us off, and I got to hear all of this. David Cruz, author of the Mississippi Book of Quotations on Nautilus Book, Nautilus Publishing, is my guest today. Visit Mississippi.org. Celebrates everything David's been doing. Emmy-winning documentary filmmaker. What a life lived, and I love the fact that he celebrates our Mississippi. That's what it's all about. That's what makes Mississippi so special. We'll be right back. I'm Steve Azar.
Too much money at the end of the money. It's too much money at the end of the money. I don't know why I'm laughing, 'cause it sure ain't funny. There's too much money at the end of the money.
Up to $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music. Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Get it now.
Hi, this is Mark.
We got a short segment. I have a feeling that David's going to become one of those guys like Wesley Smith who appears, Mike Farrell, the Monk guy. They appear often. They've already been into the teens. I have a feeling that I'm going to be reaching out to David a lot over my next year or two just to have a chat with him in front of you. David Cruz is my guest, award-winning filmmaker, also the Mississippi Book of Quotations in his third pressing, Climb Mountains, including one of 7 summits, and also is a triathlon Ironman in his past day, which just totally confuses me. An artistic guy that loves physical pain. Speaking of anything beautiful in our state, besides David, visit Mississippi.org celebrates it. Check it out. Take a ride on the Blues Trail. You're going to end up in Liverpool, and I'm not messing around with the Beatles invasion. All right, David, we're talking Iron Man. What gets you to think to even attempt that?
Well, over the years, I'd always been a runner and did a number of 10Ks. And I said, well, that kind of got old. So I said, let me see if I can do a marathon. So I ran a marathon, and I ran about 10 marathons. And then I said, well, then I started doing triathlons. Because marathons, you're just putting one foot in front of the other. With a triathlon, you got more versatility. You're swimming, you're biking, and you're running. And then, so after doing about 20 triathlons, I said, well, what's the toughest triathlon? Well, it's obviously the Hawaiian Ironman triathlon. And back when I did it, back in the 80s, that was the only Ironman triathlon. And so I started training for the Ironman, and I got admitted to it. You had to place in another triathlon, a smaller one, to get into the Ironman. I got in, and I was just training my tail off. All I was doing was working and working out. I lost my girlfriend at the time because she wasn't going to put up with that. And so I got to thinking, I'm being really selfish because all I'm doing is training. And so I said, I've been helping the Junior League of Jackson raise money to build the Mississippi Children's Cancer Clinic. And so I said, well, I'm going to write all my friends and say, hey, man, if you will sponsor me $1 or a nickel or a dime per mile, I'll give all the money to the Mississippi Children's Cancer Clinic. And so I won't be so selfish just working out all the time. And so I ended up having $42,000 in pledges.
Wow.
But it required me to complete the Ironman triathlon. So I go to Hawaii. And I'd never swum in the ocean before. I'd always swum on silk smooth Mississippi lakes. And so I'm swimming in the ocean, and that's the only cool part of the course on the Hawaiian Ironman. But I hadn't taken into account that there are swells in the Pacific Ocean. And so you're going up and down, and there's salt water, which I wasn't accustomed to. So I threw up 3 times during the course of the swim because I got seasick. And so I'm getting dehydrated on the only cool part of the course. Yeah. But I come out of the water, and I'm not going to stop even though I've been throwing up. I jump on my bike. It's 112, it's a 2.5 mile open ocean swim, followed by a 112 mile bike ride, followed by a marathon run. So I jump on the bike. After about 5 miles, I get rid of the nausea. I keep going. And then, end up completing. I had to complete the race because I had $42,000 going to the children, riding on me, finishing the race. So I did.
Gosh, you're sort of built this way. So you're a big athlete growing up?
I wasn't a great athlete, but I love to play.
What high school did you go to?
Oxford High School.
Oh, so you went to Oxford High.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So, and that was back, when Oxford was just a little village. In fact, when I was growing up in Oxford, on Saturday mornings, there would be mule-drawn wagons coming up to the square, farmers bringing their produce to sell. Can you imagine mule-drawn wagons on the Oxford Square today? Oxford was a village of 4,000 people. It was very Faulknerian back then. Yeah. Oxford's not Faulknerian anymore.
What was it like to have Faulkner walking around the square. Did you ever see it?
Well, I never saw it. Let me tell you my one great Faulkner story.
Yeah.
So we left Mississippi for 4 years and went to Charlottesville, Virginia, to the University of Virginia, where my dad got his master's and PhD. Now, when I tell anybody that I spent 4 years in Charlottesville, they say, "Oh, you went to Mr. Jefferson's University. You went to the University of Virginia." And I get to say, "No, I went to Venable Elementary School." So Faulkner was the writer in residence at the University of Virginia while we were there.
Wow.
And he lived in an old home and right off the campus, and behind the home was a barn. Well, barns are irresistible to little boys, and so my little brother and I would go to the barn, play war, play fort, jump out of the hayloft. And one day we're leaving the barn. We're walking past Mr. Faulkner's home up there in Charlottesville, and there's an apple orchard next to his home. There's it's fall. There's apples up in the trees. So I climbed up one of the trees, and I'm chunking apples down to my brother. And Faulkner walks out on his front porch and sees us, and he walks down into the orchard and looks up at me and says, "What are you boys doing?" And I started searching for a good lie. But I wasn't clever enough to come up with one. So I started stammering, and I said, well, sir. Well, the only thing I could come up with was the truth. So I said, "Well, sir, we're stealing apples." And he chuckled under his breath and said, "Well, go right ahead." I always figured if I had come up with a good lie, he'd have called the cops on.
He loved it. He had nothing else to do. And you should have said, "I'm from Oxford. I'm from Oxford. I'm from Oxford." Like that's what. Do you know such and such? No, that's the best answer, and that's how we're going to leave this show. I can't thank you enough for spending 2 Mississippi minutes with me, David. You're such a blessing to our state. Thank you. Visit Mississippi.org, folks.
I'm Steve Azar. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them, where you can take your sweet time.
A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.